Hello, everyone. It's Kristy Bird MaKieve. I'm the Consulting Executive Director for Physicians for a Healthy Central Coast Foundation. Today is Friday, March 20th, which is a big day in the world of graduate medical education and you and me as well, medical education, medical schools. I'm going to go into that in a little bit, but first wanted to say that I really had hoped to interview several different folks from the Central Coast to put into this e-newsletter and just didn't get that opportunity to do so. I will be on it for the April e-newsletter for sure and really try to highlight everyone else. And I also wanted to note that I have been experienced with creating, launching, building new nonprofits or revitalizing nonprofits, especially up north in Chico and Redding. And so I find that as a spokesperson for big change and things that evolve and grow over time, it's kind of just best to talk things through as well as share the written word of the newsletter. But oftentimes there's a piecing together of things that is easier to say and disseminate to everyone in the community when you can speak it. And that I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a either allergies or a cold, and am trying to work through that. So I think I sound a little bit snotty, but I don't intend to. So it is match day, and there are two different residency programs in the Central Coast who will be or have been celebrating this day. Of course, you all know this, but Natividad Health has family medicine residents. 10 would be hopefully joining this year. There's also four OB fellows. And new, relatively new, is the Dominican Hospital Family Medicine residency as well. If I remember correctly, that's 8 new residents. So 18 residents and four fellows. Welcome to the Central Coast. I would love to brainstorm how the Medical Association, which is run by Donna and up to her, but also the Physicians for a Healthy Central Coast Foundation. How might we help celebrate welcoming these residents to the community? And then what could we do to help bring them into the fold of the community beyond their learning and clinical experience, to then hopefully, retain them after they finish their residency programs. That's always the goal. And it's just a lot of fun, frankly, to do that. So, welcome to the 18 new residents and hopefully four fellows. We look forward to meeting them soon. And a part of me doing this video is to talk about some early stages, some interesting developments, some things that we might want to consider for the future. So I have started to write the article that will accompany this. It's gotten quite long, so I'm not sure how much I'll share of it, but if we go up to the 27,000 foot view about match day in the United States, or on a global scale, really, that in 2026 there were 47,000 applicants and nearly 4,800 residency programs who were participating in ERAS, ERAS, which is the online platform that manages the international applications and algorithms that lead to match day. And then for those who are not familiar, there is a Match Week supplemental offer and acceptance program called SOAP. And so I'll talk a little bit about SOAP numbers from 2025 as well as the match day numbers. So Sometimes not all of the slots are filled on match day itself, which is typically in the middle of March every year. And then there's a week where folks can then soap, and the final match is announced after that. I've had people say, "Oh, soap isn't something we talk about out loud," but I frankly don't see anything negative about it. It oftentimes when an applicant is pursuing their residency programs, if they say things like, "Well, I'm interested in family medicine and psychiatry," and then they're sort of going for both. And I actually don't have a specific example in mind of this particular scenario. But in the process of matching, they were ranked low because it was either family medicine or psychiatry. There are much fewer residency slots for the combo deluxe of family medicine and psychiatry. Or maybe they really want pediatrics and or family medicine. And pediatrics is like really tough to get into. There are very few slots for the number of people who want to become pediatricians. And so it's a bit of a numbers game. It's a bit of a numbers game, and somebody could literally not match for pediatrics and then soap for family medicine because that's just the way of the availability of the programs and the it's kind of an uneven situation in all of that. Anyway, so back to 2025 stats. There was a record 37,667 out of 47,208 active applicants who obtained their first year residency programs positions, which was a phenomenal 79.8% overall match rate. That's just amazing. It shows that the system is good and that everybody works really hard. I know this for a fact, that everybody works really hard to ensure that their applicants are matching well. So then the 2025 match included 43,237 positions, which was the highest in history with a 94.3% fill rate. And then SOAP also saw 2,318 positions filled in 2025. So you can look this all up. The NRMP is the data reporting, and then they'll also have how that compares for 2026 in the days to come. And as I mentioned earlier in my example, different residency programs have different fill rates. And so also, residency programs are growing in the United States, as well as the number of medical schools, and enrollment is growing in medical schools as well. So, this is all to say that when you zero in on the Central Coast, and we're talking about the Prime Central Coast launching with six medical students, growing to 16 in the next 10 years. And in addition, the independent UC Santa Cruz Medical School launching. So we know we're going to have at least 16 medical students in the near future per year. And then let's just take some numbers from the air that, um, we sort of have 36. What was my medical school? Just numbers out of the air. But um, anyway, 36 would be divided by four, the 4 years of medical school. Well, that's not right. No, I would say 50 per year would be kind of a low number, just projecting. So we have 50 plus 16. So they're all going through medical school in the Central Coast, and we therefore need to expand graduate medical education in order to keep as many of those residents as possible in the Central Coast. So I do know that the Community Hospital of the Monterey Peninsula is just now looking at a GME strategy, and I get to help them with that a little bit. And that it's just been wonderful to see. It's incredible with everybody that I've met. It's all very positive, and people want to see these things happen and be successful and to collaborate, which is also very unique to the Central Coast, I say. So anyway, the numbers are 18 current residents matching today, the 8 at Dominican, the 10 at Natividad. And then in the very near future, by the year 2040, we're going to have probably 50 or more students graduating from medical school. So there's definitely room for growth of GME in the region. So I wanted to report that the last couple of weeks have been really fun. We invited Kiki Nocella and Warren Brodeen of Health Management Associates to come down and meet with one of the FQHCs in the Central Coast, and just considering what it would take for that FQHC to become a teaching health center and get that funding. It is clear that HR 1, which goes into effect January 1st, 2027, which seemed a lot farther away in January, but as we're in the midst of March and heading straight toward April, it's going to be Christmas tomorrow. Anyway, HR 1 is definitely something to think about, and how to strengthen the safety net of the region, which is really what the FQHCs represent now. Um, so anyway, Kiki and Warren have great experience with community-focused GME and FQHC leadership. They both have very deep experiences in both of those things. And so I'm recommending them. They came down on their own dime to just get to know the region. And so I'm giving them a promotional pitch, but also saying thank you because they were able to answer some questions that I would not have been able to answer. So also if anybody is facing HR 1 and going, this doesn't seem like it's going to be good for us, I offer health management associates as somebody that you can turn to and talk about these things and plan for weathering that storm. Um, And also that same trip to Monterey and Santa Cruz, I actually wanted to introduce a friend to Dr. Fred Sadler. This is another plug, but if you haven't read Dr. Sadler's book, Pluck, Pluck, and then the P is in parentheses, and you'll see why when you read the book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you go onto Google and download it or order it. I think you can also go to the Eddie Matsumoto Gallery in Carmel and to purchase it. And I also want to say Eddie has this fabulous painting series of otters in a variety of different modes that we like. There's just fun to see what she does. Very, very talented artist in Carmel on Mission Street. The back to the book Pluck, it's a short read, and for someone like me who thinks big, to read what Dr. Sadler and his brother Blair were able to achieve in their work, especially in the late 60s and the 70s, they developed national programs like the Organ Donor Registry, building the emergency services system that we have today, and of course, the one that I was focused on, establishing the physician assistant program and curriculum. He's a legacy, and it was my great honor to introduce him to someone that I worked with in Chico, Dr. James Schlund. And Dr. Schlund is a big advocate for a concept called the Interprofessional Healthcare Campus, where, you know, you're bringing together all of the healthcare workforce learners so that they can collaborate and learn together. which is what they have to, they have to work together out in the world. And also that there's fabulous simulation learning now, both for medicine and nursing. There's AI and a whole host of other things that this interprofessional healthcare campus can teach. And so we all had lunch in Carmel. Some other folks in leadership positions that you all know joined us, and we had just had this amazing conversation about the why of why we're so passionate about the work that we do for the Central Coast. And then Grant Hartzog of UC Santa Cruz all gave us a homework assignment, which was to consider the future of medical education. So as UC Santa Cruz is launching this medical school and, aiming for the year 2040, 2041 to really get that off the ground. What will medical education look like in that time? So what are we building for? Dr. Schlund had this amazing example, and I'm going to flub it. He really is the better spokesperson for it, but the way students will be learning in 2040 is really amazing. And it's sort of synthesizing a lot of different things. I won't even try to do that. But I say to you all who's listening to this, what do you think the medical education will look like in the future? There'll be probably competency based learning, no longer tied to timed learning. You will learn in this lecture hall at this time. That might go away, or maybe it'll be a combination of these different learning modalities. One thing for sure is when I went to the ACGME annual conference in February, even graduate medical education is talking about competency-based education. So this is clearly on the horizon. And on that note, I will say that in my other hat of Physicians for a Healthy California, GME Startup Solutions, I'm leading the agenda for a GME summit. It's going to be scheduled on July 21st, and it will be predominantly for program directors of residency programs throughout the state. It will be virtual. I'm looking at 9 to noon in the morning. And so that's another thing. And one of the agenda items, of course, would be competency-based education. And what do we need to be planning for now in the likelihood that ACGME will be transitioning those milestones and learning opportunities into this new format. You know, family medicine residencies are 3 years long, but what if they are competent after 2 years? What does that mean? So really, it was a good homework assignment, Grant. A part of me wonders what we might be doing through this foundation to help that with that conversation. So when I was also in all these meetings, March 12th and 13th, and we also had a board meeting of Physicians for a Healthy Central Coast Foundation. And it was just delightful because I think we're all looking at the spectrum of that medical education journey. And what could the foundation be doing to support youth and their families to have resources and the clinical internship opportunities, making sure that the programs for the health sciences are solid and people are aware of them, and that youth can progress through our various programs and schools in the region to become those strong candidates for healthcare workforce and be the future workforce for the Central Coast. We also, Grant and I went and met with Hartnell College deans. I didn't write down their names, but there is a new interim dean who is lovely, comes from Minnesota, and really had some fabulous ideas. So that's one of the people I wanted to interview through for this newsletter, but haven't had a chance yet. And and then Anna, the other dean for I think it was South County, Central Coast. And so, Hartnell, all of the schools, all of these education pathways are critical to the success of this medical school, the post-bac program, preparing them to go into medical school and to apply, to make sure that they have those strong health sciences that are needed. Um, and then up into the residency programs. So it was really great to talk to the board of the foundation. While we were down there, we met in person and hybrid. And I'm just excited about everybody that I met. A big shout out to Dr. Violetta Barroso, as well as and Dr. Jack Watson, who wasn't there, but Dr. Barroso is working with the MESA program, MESA, and then also bringing pre-med students to Sacramento to see advocacy in action in April. So doing quite a lot. And I really want to interview her about the Represent program at Kaiser, which is providing those clinical experiences for pre-med students. Um, and I just also haven't been able to get her on my calendar. But those would be fantastic to bring to you all in person through this video format. So I'll be back April 20th. It's a Monday between 11 a.m. and 2 because Hartnell College is having a career expo. And I'm going to be talking about the Bridge to Behavioral Health program that we have a grant from HCI to do through the foundation. And it's really about, sharing the different behavioral and mental health education pathways as well as careers that youth might consider. And so that's going to be fun. So big thank you to everybody for these incredible meetings. I don't know. I guess as my experience building Healthy Rural California as the 501(c)(3) partner of two medical associations in Northern California, in Chico and in Redding. I just communicate. I feel like I'm a spokesperson for the people that are really doing the leadership and hard work. I don't, I just, and I also feel like when you're talking about nebulous kind of things, like, well, we think Chomp is going to have graduate medical education in the future. There's not a lot to say right now because they're still doing their feasibility study, and that feasibility study will go on for a few months. We may have a clear plan and they may be able to share it publicly. Of course, I'd have to get their permission on that. But, will they be doing internal medicine, family medicine, surgery, psychiatry? What is feasible? And from a financial perspective, as well as having the board certified physicians required by ACG&E for all of those curricula. So stay tuned. Lots of good stuff. And thank you to everybody for the opportunity to work with you all. And happy match day. I really hope we can share those incoming residents now that they've been uh, announced with the hospitals and the medical schools, because it's just wonderful to meet them all in person. Alrighty, you all have a great weekend. Thanks again.